Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks.
We'll get started here with Tim and then Dave.
What's up, Nick? Can you give us the latest on Gardner-Johnson, please?
Yeah, still working through that. Still running tests and seeing what's going on. So don't have any new information for you yet. Besides that, something in his rib area, in that midsection.
Can you tell us maybe if you're thinking long term or not? Like, is IR a possibility?
Yeah, we're not there yet, Tim. Hopefully not, but we're not there. We're not there yet. So I know he was in some pain yesterday after he took that hit.
We'll go to Dave and then Chris Franklin.
Hey, Nick, last night you mentioned that Jalen brings a bunch of ideas to you guys, I guess, between series. Curious if that's concepts or specific plays. And if you could, can you kind of fill us in on how that whole process plays out?
Sure. Well, obviously you go through the process of, what you look at after each series, right? You look at the pictures with the guys, try to fix any issues that you may have had that series, fix any mistakes that you may have had that series so you don't repeat that mistake. And then you try to discuss, is what your next situational calls are, what your next drive starters are, what your next drive is going to entail, run game, pass game, screen game, protection wise. And so you're just in constant communication of, hey, well, here's what to expect next. Here's why, this and that. And Jalen just brings good insight to that conversation of, hey, I'm seeing this, and we could get to that. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think here? And so it's just, just kind of part of our process that we go through. And just the only difference, I guess, is how much more Jalen's involved because of how well he's seeing the game. And so that's kind of, a normal process for us, Jalen being involved more because he's getting more and more comfortable and he's seeing the field really well and he's got great thoughts and ideas that have led to good plays.
We'll go to Chris and then Rube.
Afternoon, Nick. Going to ask another injury-related question about Jordan Davis. Can we expect to see him on the practice field when the guys get back on there on Wednesday? And do you feel that where do you think he fits in on that, and how is he progressing with his injury?
Yeah, obviously we don't have to make that decision quite yet, and so I'm not there yet. We got you think about the whole thing, everything that we have to go through to get ready for a game, and so. You stay on top of everything, but you don't rush any decision, right? Like there's no reason for us. We got this day. Players weren't in today. I gave them off today, so we have like this little extra time. But that doesn't mean we rush to get first and second down game plan done. And it's the same thing here. Not in a big rush to force something until we have all the answers and see how he's feeling. But I know he's attacking the rehab like crazy. I know our training staff and our doctors and our strength staff are doing everything they can do to help him. And I know Jordan's doing everything he can help himself. So a great team effort by everybody, and we'll see. So long answer to tell you we'll see on Wednesday.
Go ahead, Rube, and then Jeff.
Hey, Nick. We saw it was only a handful of snaps, but we saw Andre Dillard at left guard. When Landon came out for a few snaps. What led to that, and how has he kind of embraced guard? I don't think we've ever seen him do it. And how big is it to have him involved that way?
Yeah, with Andre, getting some reps there at guard, it's really important to have that flexibility for him to play. The more positions he can play, the better, obviously, right? Especially, we got a lot of D linemen that are up too, right? And so when you have that much depth at D line, and we love to play guys at D line, obviously you're not going to be able to have everybody up in other spots. And so with our situation at offensive line, we've had 8 up. As this year a couple times we've had 9 up, but right now it's been 8, and it's important that those guys are cross trained well to be able to handle not only the left side but the right side, but not only tackle but guard. And so Andre's just done a nice job in practice of getting himself ready to do that. Obviously, Coach Stout does an unbelievable job of cross-training him and getting him ready through the the gauntlet that is called a Coach Stoutland position meeting. You got to be ready at all levels for every question. Mentally, you're going to have to be on it, and then being on the practice field physically, being on it. And so, man, I can't tell you how much respect I have for Coach Stout and just how he gets these guys ready, but then also Andre for getting himself ready to do this. So hats off to both of them to be ready to go. And we have a lot of faith in Andre to play tackle and to play guard, as you saw yesterday when we put him in there at guard.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Bo.
Nick, coming in statistically, Nixon was one of the better returners in the NFL, and your kick coverage unit was one of the worst. So what went into the decision to actually kick the ball to him 3 times?
Yeah, as you saw, the one we're trying to put it in the back of the end zone. He took it out 8 deep. You can't kick it out of bounds because then you give him to him at the 40-yard line. So we're kicking it as deep as we possibly can, and he happened to take one out. So obviously when you're playing a really good returner, you try to keep it out of his hands when you can. But that's not always possible. And he can take it out. We can't dictate when he takes it out or not. And I got a lot of respect for him as a returner. We need to be better on kickoff coverage, though. It was us putting the guy. First of all, we're always going to look at ourselves in the mirror first as coaches and say, did we put them in the best positions to make plays? And I don't want us to, everything that goes on in that field is my responsibility. So and it's my responsibility first. So if the defense doesn't do something that they're supposed to, I'm not just the offensive coach, right? If the defense doesn't do something that systematically or scheme-wise, it's on me first, right? Same thing with special teams. So I say that as to the point where I'm not putting anybody out there. We need to put them in better positions, and that starts with me, and then it goes to Coach Clay. And then when we have a call on, we have to perform the fundamentals necessary to make that call work. And so again, we got to make the right decisions of how to put these guys in a spot, which we didn't do a good enough job of yesterday, starting with me. And then guys got to make plays when on that also. But it always starts with us as coaches, always. And so. But to answer like I said, to answer your question again, he's a really good returner, but he was able to get some hands on the ball and take some out deep. And when we did get it on the -2, there was some wind yesterday, and we were kicking into some wind yesterday, and so he was able to make us pay when he didn't have it, and even he made us pay when he took it out 8 yards deep, or 6 yards deep. Pardon me.
Go ahead, Bo, and then John.
Hey, Nick, sort of open-ended, but what did you learn watching the tape that you maybe didn't know watching the game live?
Yeah, obviously offensively, I think you just saw, everyone knows the stats that Miles had yesterday, but he's making some runs happen in big-time scenarios and really protecting the football well. And so, he really stuck out of the runs that he made. And I know statistically everybody already knew that, right, Bo? Everybody already knew that he had the type of game that happened. But he made some really nice runs. He really protected the ball. He's running physical. And then Jack Stoll, I thought, played really well. And I know we already know, like last night, we knew the entire offensive line played well, right? You don't run the ball like that if they don't. But Jack Stoll was able to hold off the backside on a collapsing defensive end a couple times. That was a difficult task, and he really stepped up to the challenge. The other thing that you really saw is, again, this every time you rush for a big game like this, but it takes everybody, and the receivers. I thought AJ had his best blocking game. Miles' touchdown, he was blocking his butt off on the first touchdown, and then the same thing on Kenny's. He just was on his guy in the run game, and I thought that was very obvious, and that's great when you get that from your wide receivers in the run game. So those are a couple things offensively that stuck out that you see a little bit extra when you see the tape. I think that Reed had a really nice game on defense. I think he did a lot of good things there. on defense. I think Nakobe was good on special teams. Sometimes you don't see exactly who played well there. And, Aaron obviously had some really good punts, good operation. So Fletcher Cox, to me, played his best game of the year. He was awesome in that game. He was on fire in that game, and that was awesome. And because people feed off him, that's your captain, that's your leader, and he goes out there and plays like that. Everybody feeds off that, and he's exciting to watch when he's creating havoc. So there's a couple things, Bo.
Go ahead, John, and then Martin.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, John.
To kind of follow up on the kickoff coverage, a couple weeks ago when you guys had the ball security issues, Quez got caught from behind. You made some adjustments and said, "We're going to work that. We're going to drill that," and you had the drill where they're coming up from the ground. Curious, in special teams, do you look at that kind of game, that kind of performance, and say, all right, we have to put these guys in a better position. We have to do some things differently this upcoming week?
Yeah, of course. You always want to put them in better spots to help them accomplish their job, right? That's our job as coaches, to put them in the best spots they can to accomplish their job. And then the next tool that we have as coaches that we need to do is prepare them for how to do that job, right? So here's your assignment. Here's what's critical for you to do for us this play to be successful, and we're trying to put you in the best spots as possible. And then here's how you do that assignment. So that's fundamentals, right? When I say that, it's fundamentals. So, and that's just coaching those fundamentals of that. And that's what this game's about. Like, because we can say we're going to put them in a great spot to make a play, but that other coach is getting paid too to put his guys in a great spot. So if one coach is calling a good play and the other coach is calling a good play, what does it come down to? Well, it comes down, and one player is really good and the other player is really good. What does it come down to? Who plays with better fundamentals? We always know our guys, our want-to of our guys and our desire of our guys is second to none. Our guys bust their butts out there to make every play, and I think that's on display every week. But then it comes down to fundamentals and who's playing with great fundamentals out there. And so that's the thing you can, our job is, like I said, John, to put them in the best possible scenario. And then the things you can drill really is those fundamentals, drill the fundamentals to make sure that they're equipped to not only know what to do, but how to do it.
Go ahead, Martin, and then Zach.
Hey, Nick. I know you talked a little bit about Reed last night and just, his contributions and everything. But I was kind of curious, with him and Josiah. I mean, Josiah obviously is going to be in there for the next few weeks while Avante's on IR. How much did those two guys show you, not only last night, but what they've done all year? And if it's a situation where CJ's out for the next few weeks or whatever, like how able they are to, keep playing in those positions and be key contributors.
Yeah, they just come to work every day, and we trust that they know what to do, and that's just a piece of it, right? We trust they know what to do because they work hard and they're smart and they study hard. But you also have to have talent to do it, right? And they have that as well. Both of those guys have major talent. That's why they're on this team, right? They're tough, they're smart, they got talent, and so you have that faith in them. You have that faith in them that they're going to go out and perform and do the things they need to do to help us win. And I think Josiah was able to do that at times last year for us. So we've seen that, and he was also great on special teams for us all last year and then continuing into this year. So sometimes you don't get to see that live unless it is on special teams. And every time Reed's had an opportunity to play and to perform, he's done a really good job. So we have a ton of faith in those guys. That's the reason they're here, is because we have faith in them. Right? If you don't have faith in them, then and it's not blind faith. You hear me say that all the time. It's not blind faith. It's faith that they give us because of the way they practice, because of the way they go about their business and prepare, and now the way they're playing.
We'll take these last two questions. Go ahead, Zach, and then Jimmy.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. On
Zach.
kickoff coverage, how much, or I guess, are there personnel changes that you can make? And what's your philosophy about using starters in that area?
Yeah, really good question, Zach. That's a really good question, and we got to do whatever we got to do to get it fixed. So obviously, I'm not going to tell you, hey, this guy's going to play here, this guy's going to play here. But obviously, everything is discussed, right? Is there a guy that you can call up from practice squad that could help, right? So that's discussed. Is there a guy that can give you a phase or two on special teams? That's a starter. That's discussed. Everything is, and I think that's a really good point by you, Zach. And everything is on the table. And I won't tell you, this is what's happening this week, or this is, because we're still in the early phases of what can help. Again, it always starts with myself and putting them in the right position. But then the guys have to go out and execute it, and it is, and then it could be shuffling guys around. Like I said, I thought Nakobe played a really good game on special teams, so maybe he takes a different role within the special teams. Maybe it is on kickoff, maybe it's on kickoff return, wherever it may be, because he's doing a nice job. Again, it doesn't have to be just the guys that are in there. It can be a shuffle, and everything's on the table to make sure that we're doing our jobs to make sure that it gets right. That's all we care about, is how we get this thing right. Hey, Jimmy, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Nick, Tennessee has one of the better run defenses in the NFL. And just generally speaking, they're thought of as a very physical, tough, grimy kind of team. What is your experience with them from your time in Indy? And then what have you seen from them in that regard, just in your initial look at the season? I
think you hit it right on, Jimmy. This is a tough, physical football team. Really take after their head coach. Mike Vrabel is tough, physical. I was on a staff. My first job in the NFL, Mike Vrabel was a captain on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I couldn't say more good things about him as a player, and I know how good of I've obviously never coached with him, but the way he led as a football player on that team, coming from a great Steeler team and, Ohio State teams, and back to, when he went to Walsh Jesuit, and then being on those Patriot teams, like, that guy just knows how to lead people and lead men. And so that's on full display. It was on full display as a young coach, where I learned a lot from him as that goes, and what a captain's supposed to look like. And now it's on display from him as a coach. So I like to say that, just first and foremost, he's a damn good football coach, and he's going to have those guys ready to go. And then that defense that they had, you asked me about the defense. Obviously, I have a lot of experience going against that defense. They're good. They're really good. Again, they're physical. They're sound. They don't beat themselves. They don't have a lot of penalties. In my early studies on them is that I'm seeing a lot of the things I saw when we play them when I was with the Colts. Simmons, he's a really good player. He plays at a very high level, and he's still playing at a high level. I was with Danico Autry with the Colts, and he's a really good player. He's a really tough player. He fits that mold of what Tennessee bases themselves off of. Byard has you always got to be aware of where he is on the football field, because he can make you pay at any moment. With him being around the football, they have Bud Dupree in the mix there, and again, I know he's been banged up, but he's a really good player coming over from the Steelers. Obviously, he wasn't there on that defense when I was in Indy, but we're gonna have to be on our stuff. But you know what, we're good too. So we're gonna have to be on our stuff. But we know that this is a very sound defense, a very physical defense, and so we'll have to be on it, and we're gonna work like crazy to make sure we put our guys in the best position to make plays.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. See you Wednesday.